Hello, and welcome back to Bedtime Stories with Vice Vice Baby, where we will continue Ward number 6. Chapter 9. On a spring evening towards the end of March, when there was no snow left on the ground, and the starlings were singing in the hospital garden, the doctor went out to see his friends, the postmaster, as far as the gate. At that very moment, the Jew Moiseka, returning with his booty, came into the yard. He had no cap on, and his bare feet were thrust into the galoshes. In his hand, he had a little bag of coppers. "Give me a kopeck," he said to the doctor, smiling, and shivering with cold. Andrei Yefimych, who could never refuse anything, gave him a 10-kopeck piece. "How bad that is," he thought, looking at the Jew's bare feet with their thin red ankles. "Why, it's wet." And, stirred by a feeling akin both to pity and disgust, he went to the lodge behind the Jew, looking now at his bald head, now at his ankles. As the doctor went in, Nikita jumped up from his heap of litter and stood at attention. "Good day, Nikita," Andrei Yefimych said mildly. "That Jew should be provided with boots or something. He will catch a cold." "Certainly, Your Honor. I'll inform the superintendent." "Please do. Ask him in my name. Tell him that I asked." The door into the ward was open. Ivan Dmitrich, lying propped on his elbow on the bed, listened in alarm to the unfamiliar voice, and suddenly recognized the doctor. He trembled all over with anger, jumped up, and with a red and wrathful face, with his eyes staring out of his head, ran out onto the middle of the road. "The doctor has come!" he shouted, and broke into a laugh. "At last, gentlemen, I congratulate you. The doctor's honoring us with a visit. Cursed reptile!" he shrieked, and stamped in a frenzy such as had never been seen in the ward before. "Kill the reptile! No killing's too good! Drown him in the midden pit!" Andrei Yefimych, hearing this, looked into the ward from the entry and asked gently, "What for?" "What for?" shouted Ivan Dmitrich, going up to him with a menacing air and convulsively wrapping himself in his dressing gown. "What for? Thief!" he said, with a look of repulsion, moving his lips as though he would spit at him. "Quack, hangman!" "Calm yourself," said Andrei Yefimych, smiling guiltily. "I assure you I have never stolen anything, and as to the rest, most likely you greatly exaggerate. I see you are angry with me. Calm yourself, I beg, if you can, and tell me coolly, what are you angry for?" "What are you keeping me here for?" "Because you are ill." "Yes, I am ill, but you know dozens, hundreds of madmen are walking about in freedom because your ignorance is incapable of distinguishing them from the sane. Why am I and these poor wretches to be shut up here like scapegoats for all the rest? You, your assistant, the superintendent, and all your hospital rabble are immeasurably inferior to every one of us morally. Why then are we shut up and you not? Where's the logic of it?" "Morality and logic doesn't come in. It all depends on chance. If anyone is shut up, he has to stay. And if anyone is not shut up, he can walk about. That's all. There is neither morality nor logic in my being a doctor and your being a mental patient. There is nothing but idle chance." "That twaddle I don't understand," Ivan Dmitrich brought out in a hollow voice, and he sat down on his bed. Moiseka, whom Nikita did not venture to search in the presence of a doctor, laid out on his bed pieces of bread, bits of paper, and little bones, and, still shivering with cold, began rapidly in a sing-song, saying something in Yiddish. he most likely imagined that he had opened a shop. "Let me out," said Ivan Dmitrich, and his voice quivered. "I cannot." "But why? Why?" "Because it is not in my power. Think, what use will it be to you if I do let you go out? Go. The townspeople or the police will detain you or bring you back." Yes, yes, that's true," said Ivan Dmitrich, and he rubbed his forehead. "It's awful, but what am I to do? What?" Andrei Yefimych liked Ivan Dmitrich's voice and his intelligent young face with his grimaces. He longed to be kind to the young man and soothe him. He sat on the bed beside him, thought, and said, "You asked me what to do. The very best thing in your position would be to run away. But unhappily, that is unless you will be taken up. When the society protects itself from the criminal, mentally deranged, or otherwise inconvenient people, it is invincible. There is only one thing left for you to do: to resign yourself to the thought that your presence here is inevitable. It is no use to anyone. So long as the prisons and madhouses exist, someone must be shut up in them. If not you, I. If not I, some third person. Wait till in the distant future prisons and madhouses no longer exist, and there will be neither bars on the windows nor hospital gowns. Of course, that time will come sooner or later." Ivan Dmitrich smiled ironically. "You are jesting," he said, screwing up his eyes. "Such gentlemen as you and your assistant Nikita have nothing to do with the future, but you may be sure, sir, better days will come. I may express myself cheaply, you may laugh, but the dawn of a new life is at hand. Truth and justice will triumph, and our turn will come. I shall not live to see it. I shall perish, but some people's great-grandsons will see it. I greet them with all my heart and rejoice with them. Onward, God be your help, friends." With shining eyes, Ivan Dmitrich got up, and stretching his hand towards the window, went on with emotion in his voice. "From behind these bars, I bless you. Hurrah for the truth and justice. I rejoice." "I see no particular reason to rejoice," said Andrei Yefimych, who thought Ivan Dmitrich's movement theoretical, though he was delighted by it. "Prisons and madhouses there will not be, and truth, as you have just expressed it, will triumph. But the reality of things, you know, will not change. The laws of nature will still remain the same. People will suffer pain, grow old, and die just as they do now. However magnificent a dawn lighted up your life, you would yet in the end be nailed up in a coffin and thrown into a hole. And immortality? Oh, come on now. You don't believe in it, but I do. Somebody in Dostoevsky or Voltaire said that if there had not been a god, men would have invented him. And I firmly believe that if there is no immortality, the great intellect of man will sooner or later invent it." "Well said," observed Andrei Yefimych, smiling with pleasure. "It's a good thing you have faith. With such a belief, one may live happily, even shut up within walls. You have studied somewhere, I presume?" "Yes, I've been at the university, but did not complete my studies." "You are a reflecting and a thoughtful man. In any surroundings you can find tranquility in yourself. Free and deep thinking which strives for the comprehension of life, and complete contempt for the foolish bustle of the world. Those are two blessings beyond any that man has ever known. And you can possess them, even though you live behind threefold bars. Diogenes lived in a tub, yet He was happier than all the kings of the earth. Your Diogenes was a blockhead, said Ivan Dmitritch morosely. Why do you talk to me about Diogenes and some foolish comprehension of life? He cried, growing suddenly angry and leaping up. I love life. I love it passionately. I have the mania of persecution, a continual agonizing terror, but I have moments when I am overwhelmed by the thirst of life. And then I am afraid of going mad. I want dreadfully to live, dreadfully. He walked up and down the ward in agitation and said, dropping his voice, when I dream, I am haunted by phantoms. People come to me. I hear voices and music, and I fancy I am walking through the woods or by the seashore, and I long so passionately for movement, for interests. Tell me, what news is there? Said Ivan Dmitritch. What's happening? Do you wish to know about the town or in general? Well, tell me first about the town and then in general. Well, in the town it is appallingly dull. There's no one to say a word to, no one to listen to. There are no new people. A young doctor called Hobotov have come here recently. He had come in my time. Well, he's a low cat, isn't he? Yes, he is a man of no culture. It's strange, judging by every sign, there is no intellectual stagnation in our capital cities. There's a movement, so there must be real people there too. But for some reason, they always send us such men as I would rather not see. It's an unlucky town. Yes, it is an unlucky town, sighed Ivan Dmitritch, and he laughed. And how are things in general? What are they writing in the papers and reviews? It was by now dark in the ward. The doctor got up and, standing, began to describe what was being written abroad and in Russia, and the tendency of thought that could be noticed now. Ivan Dmitritch listened attentively and put questions, but suddenly, as though recalling something terrible, clutched at his head and lay down on the bed with his back on the doctor. What's the matter? Asked Andrei Efimych. You will not hear another word from me, said Ivan Dmitritch rudely. Leave me alone. Why so? I tell you, leave me alone. Why the devil do you persist? Andrei Efimych shrugged his shoulders, heaved a sigh, and went out. As he crossed the entry, he said, You might clear up there, Nikita. There's an awfully stuffy smell. Certainly, Your Honor. What an agreeable young man, thought Andrei Efimych, going back to his flat. In all the years I have been living here, I do believe he is the first I have met with whom one can talk. He is capable of reasoning, and is interested in just the right things. While he was reading, and afterwards while he was going to bed, he kept thinking about Ivan Dmitritch, and when he woke next morning, he remembered that he had the day before made the acquaintance of an intelligent and interesting man, and determined to visit him again as soon as possible. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Bedtime Stories with Vice Vice Baby. I hope you'll have a good night and sweet dreams.